I always thought that everything in Madoka Magica all started because Homura couldn't accept Madoka's death in the first timeline. It's heartbreakingly human, right? When someone we love dies, it's almost impossible to just let them go. We cling to every memory, every trace of them, even if their love slowly turns into something heavier, something that hurts as much as it heals. That's what makes Madoka's story so bittersweet to me. Homura's love wasn't wrong. It was just unable to accept loss. And I think that's what shaped everything that followed. Because sometimes, in our grief, we twist our love trying to keep it alive, not realizing that love can outlast death in ways that don't need to rewrite time. And that's something I've come to understand too. Not just through a magical girl, but through a small cat.
Meet Mr. Starbucks! And yes, that actually is his name. My mom had an obsession with coffee and named him that. Kind of brings back memories, because I found myself making my mom coffee in the months before her passing, since it was one of her favorite things. Losing her was one of the hardest things I ever had to go through. She had a stem infection called MRSA, and I took care of her for 6 months leading up to that. It was one of the most difficult times of my life, watching her fade slowly and trying to be strong through it. And not long before she passed, that's when Mr. Starbucks came into my life. So he didn't show up randomly. He arrived right in the middle of that grief while I was taking care of my mom. And in a way, it was like he showed up to help carry a piece of that weight. Abandoned by his mother when he was just a tiny kitten, and he quickly became part of the family. This story might remind you of something familiar. Remember Madoka's very first wish? Before everything went down in labyrinths and witches, her wish was something so pure and simple. In that first timeline, Madoka made a wish to save a stray cat. It was that very wish that set her down the path to becoming a magical girl. Homura actually meets Amy as well. Amy, who ends up being this tiny black cat, no collar, abandoned. The kind of creature you can tell has already seen too much loneliness. And Homura? She instantly connects with her. It's not just aw, cute kitty energy. It's something deeper. She sees herself in Amy because in that moment, Homura is a sick girl, new to school, full of fear and isolation. And this little cat sitting there meowing, also alone. It's like Homura is looking into a mirror. She even says, as she looks at it, just like me. Later, when Madoka sees Amy again, she recognizes her immediately, and that's when we find out saving Amy is what Madoka wished for. That small act of kindness, saving a cat from getting hit by a car, is what kickstarts everything. That's the wish that sets Madoka on the path. A tiny act of love that changes the entire universe. And honestly, that story really resonates with me because in my own life, that Amy wasn't fictional. He was real. His name was Mr. Starbucks. He was abandoned too, a stray, small and sick. He needed someone to care. And just like Madoka, I made that choice. I brought him into my life. And that one act changed everything. Not just for him, but for me too. In the same way that Amy becomes this quiet but powerful thread between Madoka and Homura, Mr. Starbucks became that thread between me and my mom, between me and this channel, between me and who I am today. And there's something else about that drama CD that always stuck with me. It's the moment when Madoka sees that Homura knows Amy too. She doesn't say much, just, oh, you know that black cat? And you can almost feel the shift, not just in tone, but in feeling. Because I think in that moment, Madoka starts to see something in Homura. Not just the new girl who's nervous and awkward, but someone with a kind heart, someone who stops for small things, who notices a stray, who feeds a cat cookies and sees herself in it, who, even with all her fears and shyness, reaches out to help it anyway. And for Madoka, someone whose entire identity is rooted in compassion. That moment, Amy becomes a mirror, not just for Homura's loneliness, but for Madoka's empathy. And I think that's where their connection really begins, not just as classmates, but as kindred spirits, because Madoka didn't just wish to save Amy out of impulse, she saw herself in Amy too, because Amy is small, soft, and vulnerable. She's the kind of creature that gets overlooked in a harsh world. She's gentle and quiet, just trying to survive. And I think deep down, that's how Madoka sees herself too. Not special, not brave, just someone who wants to do the right thing but doesn't always know how. Amy's not just a stray cat to Madoka. She's a reflection, a reminder that even the most fragile things deserve love. And that kindness, even in its smallest form, has weight and it matters. So, when she sees Amy get hurt, it's not just sympathy, it's personal. It's like watching a part of herself that still believes in gentleness get struck down by reality. Saving Amy becomes her way of fighting back against that reality. It's like her saying, I may not be strong, but I still care, and that matters. I honestly believe it's with this mindset that Madoka was able to face Walpurgisnacht alone, even without Mommy, at the very end in the first timeline. And when she finds out that Homura cares about Amy too, that Homura stopped and saw Amy and gave her cookies and connected with her, something clicks because suddenly Madoka realizes, wait, you're like me. You see what I see. You protect what I protect. And that's where everything starts. It's a beautiful moment between the two. And that's maybe the very beginning of how Madoka starts choosing Homura. Not out of pity or obligation because she's a new transfer student that needs help, but because she sees the way Homura treats fragile things. Because she recognizes her. Mr. Starbucks wasn't just a cat in my life. He was part of this channel too. Whether he was sneaking his way into my videos or just being his stubborn self, he always made sure to be a part of it. Viewers even started to notice him showing up in the background. And honestly, I couldn't have been happier about it. He had his struggles, ear mites, a tumor, even surviving a dog attack, which no other cat in the neighborhood had ever done before. He was tough, brave, and no matter what life threw at him, he just dealt with it, humbly and courageously. In a way, I always admired that about him. He was kind of like a magical girl himself, facing challenges and overcoming them. My mom had a special connection with Mr. Starbucks too. She loved him, and she was the one who insisted we keep him. In fact, a month before she passed away, she made sure that he would be a permanent part of our lives. Before she left, she always told me that she hoped she could still be there for me in some way. And strangely enough, I started having dreams about her after she passed away. Dreams that felt like she was still around, like nothing had changed, like everything was normal again. I knew it was her way of telling me that she was still watching over me, kind of similar to how Madoka mentions she would always watch over Homura. And I know that when Mr. Starbucks died, I know that my mom came down for him because it was the exact same kind of dream I would have that night when he passed away. See, after my mom passed away, I used to get these dreams, sometimes once a week, sometimes once a month, for about 3 years straight. And they weren't dreams about grief or loss. They were just normal. Like she was still there. Like everything was fine. I truly believe those dreams were her way of staying with me, of keeping her promise that she would do everything she could to stay connected with me, even after she passed away. And when Mr. Starbucks' time came, she gave me that same feeling again. That night, I had a dream that he was still alive, still with me, just like before. Just him, healthy, warm, curled up like always. It was the same kind of dream. And when I woke up, I knew he was gone. And I also knew she came for him. She didn't want him to pass alone, and she didn't want me to feel like I was losing him forever. So she gave me that dream to let me know he was safe, that he was with her now. He'll continue to be part of the channel because, just like Madoka's wish to protect the magical girls, I believe that the love we share with the people and pets we care about never really disappears. It stays with us, even when they're no longer here. So when you see this kitty avatar in my videos, remember, he's more than just a cute little mascot. He's a part of the legacy of this channel, just like Madoka is a part of the magical girl she saved, and her connection with Amy and with Homura. So yeah, Mr. Starbucks will continue to be part of the channel. Also, today is now officially Starbucks Day on the channel. As I mentioned before, he's been part of this channel since basically forever. I'm just gonna try and post one video each year to honor and remember him. I just want to make something for him, cause he mattered to me, and I still think about him all the time. I feel like if Madoka's mom was here, she'd 100% assume this day was about coffee, and just go with it. she'd probably make an iced one, click the glass, and be like, "To Starbucks Day!" And then she'd get drunk and fall over. And Homura would just be slowly twisting the lid off of her cup like it's a ritual, like she's about to summon something. Very serious, very elegant, very unnecessarily dramatic, like those hair flips. Oh, you gotta love Homura, right? The kitty avatar on this channel actually started as a mix of me and him. It was supposed to be a blend of me and a blend of Mr. Starbucks. Over time, this avatar went through several evolutions before it became the version you see today. I would like to think it resembles Mr. Starbucks when he was at his most healthiest, when he was still a little kitten. So yeah. So, for anyone who's ever wondered, what even is that thing? His name is Cabot Purball. And yes, that's short for Cat Rabbit Purball. Because, well, he's kind of both. A meow-tastic bunny cat secret agent with rabbit ears and attitude. He's so cute, isn't he? Apparently, Cabot Purball was born in a place called the Magic Kingdom, and he was raised by dragons and fairies inside a giant carrot. Cabot Purball's favorite word happens to be fabulous. And also his catchphrase, "I want to fill the world with warm, fuzzy purballs." Also, his favorite food? Fish sticks. And yes, he also rates things on a fish stick scale. Like, this video is a 4.5 fish sticks out of 5. Slightly soggy on the editing, but emotionally crispy. That's the thing he'd say if he had to rate a YouTube video. Also, fun fact, he wasn't born with those rabbit ears. One day, he chased a hamster called Friskers into a magical carrot patch, took one nibble and kaboom! Ears, long, floppy, and magical. Now he can jump like a bunny, and his ears talk back to him like full-on sass. They argue daily, and yes, sometimes the ears actually win. Oh, and if you ever see sparks around him in a future video, it's because he got struck by lightning, and his butt shoots lightning when he gets head pats. So, pet at your own risk. You have been warned, child. Cabot Purball is fabulous, and he's also me. Also, if you love the art style, I'm gonna also have the artists on their screen. You can check them out on Twitter if you wanna commission them for anything. They're awesome. They also did art for one of my besties who's a VTuber by the name of Kisu. She also does live stream on Twitch, so you should check her out if you like video games.
And speaking of stories, if you're really connected with the story I shared today about Mr. Starbucks, about my mom, and even about the kitty avatar on this channel, then I think You're really going to love this next one too, because it also involves cats in a very different way. This video is actually sponsored by a visual novel called Omeneko, and I promise you, this is not your typical catgirl game. Meow! This is a free visual novel created entirely by hobbyists and fans. And some of the developers actually worked on Katawa Shoujo, which is one of the most legendary indie visual novels ever made. You can download Omeneko completely free on Steam and a few other places you can see here. And if you prefer playing on your phone, the Android version is totally free through itch.io and a few other places you can see here. Omeneko completely deconstructs the catgirl genre. It's unique, beautifully animated, and more cinematic than most free visual novels, and comes with 3 distinct routes and 10 different endings, all crafted without AI, and I know how much people hate AI, so this definitely has no influence from that at all. The story follows a main character whose quiet life suddenly becomes complicated. He unexpectedly ends up as the caretaker of 3 Nekos, catgirls, each with their own personalities, struggles, and little disasters that follow them around. And the visual novel follows all the everyday problems, and the not so everyday problems, of what happens when you suddenly have 3 cats and 3 girls all in one, living in your house. What makes Omeneko special is the heart behind it. This isn't one of those corporate visual novels cashing in on a trend. It was made with passion in an attempt to redefine what it means to be a catgirl in the human world by people who love visual novels. In fact, the creator in question was directly influenced by Doki Doki Literature Club and Katawa Shoujo and wanted to create something to continue the legacy of what those 2 games created in the West. Omeneko actually took 5 years to make. Now, before I say anything else, I want to give you a small warning. I'm about to go into slight spoiler territory for one of the routes in the game. So if what you've heard so far interests you, go play it. It's free. Links can be found in the description of this video and a topped pinned comment. So go check it out and then come back. Now, let me tell you why this game hit me so hard. There's a character in Omeneko called Shimmy, like Shimmy Shimmy Bang Bang, a feral cat girl, and her story is almost eerily similar to Mr. Starbucks. Shimmy is injured when you meet her. She's scared, distrusting, and guarded. She doesn't know if she should run, attack you, or stay. And as you slowly gain her trust, you learn about the world she came from, how harsh it was, and how alone she felt. Her story mirrors the reality of my own cat so closely that it almost felt like the game was speaking directly to me. Mr. Starbucks wasn't feral, but he was alone. Like Shimmy, he did suffer from injury with a host of other issues. He was pretty tough, but he relied on me in ways he couldn't say out loud, just like Shimmy relies on the main character in the story. And there's a moment in Omeneko where you're tending to Shimmy's wound, cleaning them, wrapping bandages, trying to be gentle so you don't suffer her wrath and your eyes get clawed out. Since, yeah, she is a feral, though deep down, she's hurt, confused, and very scared. And when I played that moment, it took me right back. I remember being in the bathroom with Mr. Starbucks, holding him carefully so I could squirt medicine in his mouth, related to healing his pneumonia. And the second I did it, he literally ran away like a little kid that just ate something nasty. It just made me laugh. It still does, honestly, even now. I can still see the little look of pure disgust he gave me, like, how dare you, daddy? Those tiny moments, the trust building, the fear, the patience, they were our slow burn related to our bonding arc, just like Shimmy's. You know, I can't help but wonder, what if he could have spoken? What would that story have sounded like from his perspective? Maybe something like this.
The human tried the medicine tactic on you too, huh? Disgust, betrayal, the great escape behind the couch. I held a grudge for 3 sun cycles. Planned revenge. His favorite shoe would suffer. Then the sashimi appeared, a strategic offering. Clever. I have not clawed the shoe, yet. This is the treaty, the unspoken thing. They think they tame us with food. We allow it. Because sometimes the hand that gives the medicine is also the hand that sits on the floor and just stays. It's confusing. Do not tell the others I said this. The treaty is a secret. You know the language of before, the silence that isn't quiet, the hurt that sits in the bones. Not the story they write, but the one you live. You see a game catgirl, one eye broken, code for tragic. I see you. Remembering a real heartbeat, a real weight in your hands, the medicine, the running, the coming back. That's the real story, the waiting. Thank you for playing with a ghost and remembering the animal that made it. They say a soul alone is just a shadow, waiting for another shadow to find it. I was a shadow once, scared, wounded, hiding in the dark, but then a hand reached into the dark. Not to pull me out, but to sit with me there. That's how it begins, isn't it? Not with magic, not with wishes, but with a choice to see the broken thing and not look away.
And that's why this game hit me so deeply. Because the way the devs wrote these catgirls, they behave like real cats. They hide in dark corners. They flinch of sudden movements. They watch you with those big, suspicious, curious eyes, which is also a small part of how it subverts the catgirl genre. Other catgirl visual novels seem to lean into the maid aspect of them and serving a master, tries to be a ninja, but it doesn't quite feel like a ninja. But this particular game tries to approach it in a more realistic and grounded way, which really kind of ask the question of what would an actual catgirl human hybrid actually be like if it existed in our reality in a realistic way, having characteristics of both a human and a cat at the same time. It's kind of revolutionary in many ways, and it really sets Omeneko apart from every other catgirl game out there. And Shimmy herself brings a really interesting blend of influences. She has a quiet horror element to her whenever she appears, especially with her music. Sometimes you catch her watching you from the dark, staring into your soul, kind of like Monica from Doki Doki Literature Club, but thorough, wounded, and very afraid. And at the same time, she carries a disability, blind in one eye, which really reminded me of Katawa Shoujo, where each route explores a girl living with a disability, not as a weakness, but as part of her strength and story. Shimmy's route feels like an homage to that. The writing, the atmosphere, even the slow gaining of trust, it echoes the emotion, the tenderness, and the vulnerability that made Katawa Shoujo so freaking special. Honestly, her route made me feel connected to Mr. Starbucks again, in ways I didn't expect and didn't even know I needed. And even if her route isn't the one that resonates with you, there are two other compelling routes that you can play. One of which is Claudia, which I think is really cute. It's like Claudia as in an actual claw. But anyway, Claudia happens to be very calm, elegant, and very soothing, kind of like an atmosphere. I found when I was playing anything regarding her, I always felt more relaxed, especially if I was playing it after work. Like her dialogue and her music is meant to calm and soothe you and kind of bring you peace. In a way, she's very lily-coated from Katawa Shoujo. And one of the reasons I also love Claudia, I mean, who doesn't want to relax to that soothing mommy energy? Another cat you may also like is one by the name of Pepper. She's extremely mischievous. She even has a funny catchphrase, oopsie poopsie. It's ridiculously funny, and I can already see future memes about it. And who knows, maybe you'll be the first one to make a meme. I want to talk for a moment about the creator behind the game.
He's the Mac Daddy, Maddie. Maddie D.
I've actually been following his YouTube channel for years. He made visual novel reviews with a big focus on Doki Doki Literature Club and Katawa Shoujo, both iconic. Both titans in the Western world of visual novels. But what I really admired wasn't just the reviews, it was listening to his journey into visual novels.
I laughed, I cried, I pooped myself.
He even interviewed some of the original Katawa Shoujo devs on his YouTube channel.
So, how'd you get involved with the project? What made you want to make Katawa Shoujo?
I think the project in general, I think it really sparked a lot of interest in from 4chan where it started. And then whoever started working on it, as it kind of like spread a little bit outside of the anime board where it started. So I think I wasn't any different. I thought that it was a very outrageous idea that random idiots on the internet will try to make a real thing out of the concept that some guy drew in his porn comic.
And the coolest part, he went from reviewing visual novels for many years to actually creating one of his own. As someone who has loved visual novels for more than a decade, including Katawa Shoujo, which was one of the first I ever played, Omeneko honestly feels like a spiritual successor. Not because the stories are the same, but because you can feel the heart behind it. A rookie team pouring everything they have into creating something meaningful, something emotional, and something they hope will matter to someone out there. And it really does. The whole time I was working on this video, I kept playing Omeneko on the side. Even if you've never played a visual novel before, this is an amazing place to start. It literally has everything you'd want in a story that you can sink your teeth into for a weekend. I mean, for goodness sake, it's free. You literally have nothing to lose. Check this video out by the Omeneko creator so you can dive deeper into a story and journey with visual novels, and I'll see you next time.